My best friend Katie somehow got a mind-reading system and copied my answers during our college entrance exams. She went from barely passing to top of the class, and everyone cheered for her. I, on the other hand, was erased by this system and died bitterly, leading my only family, my grandma, to despair and take her own life. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in senior year, right when Katie first used her mind-reading trick on me and aced the exams. Andy, believe me, I didn't cheat. We must just have a supernatural connection because we're such good friends. The results came out just like last time, and suddenly Katie was famous. She scored top in the entire school, matching my results exactly. Everyone was skeptical, thinking she cheated off me. After all, we're known to be besties. But since we weren't even in the same exam room and the whole thing was monitored, passing answers around was impossible. With no proof, nobody could question her first place finish. Katie, all innocent, said, I handed in my phone. Andy's too poor to have one, so how could I cheat? She looped her arm around mine, swearing up and down. A cold shiver ran through me as memories of my past life hit me. Last time around, I scored an impressive 710 on the college entrance exam. I was dreaming of getting into NYU, hoping the scholarship could help treat my grandma's eyesight. But then, out of nowhere, this mechanical voice echoed in my mind. Mission complete for host Katie. Mind reading target Andy. Initiation of termination protocol in 5, 4, 3. Before I could grasp it, a runaway truck veered onto the sidewalk. As my body lay shattered on the pavement, my consciousness drifted upward. Meanwhile, Katie was on TV, proudly showing off her results and basking in the attention, surrounded by admirers. For years, I had masked my real talents, planning a breakthrough during the exams. And I did have my breakthrough, from the afterlife. Turns out, Katie used a mind-reading system to snag my answers. She had 5 chances to tap into my thoughts. Her system's mission was for her to become the top scorer in the entrance exams, which, upon success, would erase me and let her steal my achievements. No wonder Katie seemed to have been magically boosted from an invisible student to a star, even snatching my boyfriend. She was the first to befriend me when others shunned me for being poor. I never expected such a scheme hidden beneath her friendly face. She wanted to take not just everything I struggled for, but also my life. I was foolish to have ever called her my best friend. She's nothing but a greedy wild dog now. Her touch felt like a snake coiled around my arm, causing goosebumps. Noticing my silence, Katie asked nervously, "What's wrong, Andy? You don't believe me?" I shoved down my disgust and replied nonchalantly, "Of course I believe you. We're the best of friends." With my calm facade, Katie relaxed. Her system required her to stay close to me to read my thoughts. Before exams, she couldn't risk revealing her secret. Like before, she draped an arm around mine. "Let's go eat together." But unlike before, I shrugged her off. "You go ahead. I need to work on some wrong answers." She froze, confused. "With your great scores, how many mistakes could you have?" I just smiled. "To maintain good scores, you can't slack. Good grades come from hard work. Shortcuts come with a price, don't they?" Katie's face tightened. "How long can one meal take? Are you mad about the exam?" She pouted. "I was the first to befriend you when you transferred. You said we'd be lifelong friends." Desperately scanning my face for cues, she found nothing. "It's just a meal. What are you fussing about? You're in senior year. You're basically an adult. You should handle things on your own." Katie was embarrassed, sensing something off but unsure what. She stormed off in silence, cheeks flushed. My smile faded instantly. Given a second chance at life, I vowed to make those who hurt me pay. As she left, I trailed her. To my surprise, I stumbled upon Harry, my boyfriend. I watched Katie and Harry as they stood cozily close. I clenched my back teeth. In my past life, Harry suddenly dumped me and hooked up with Katie. I didn't know they were involved this early. "Andy, Harry, and I are true love. Will you let us be?" Katie had begged back then. Despite a heart full of ache, I blessed them as my friends. But rumors spread that I was the third wheel, isolating and bullying me. The truth was, Katie urged me to date Harry. "Andy, Harry is handsome and smart. Even with a modest background, he'd be great with you." I watched those two now. "Harry, I feel Andy's acting off. I worry she's catching on. Without her thoughts, I can't steal her exam score and New York University spot." Harry lovingly let her fawn on him, dismissing me as a fool. "Impossible. She's not clever enough to figure out your system." He wasn't concerned. "Don't sweat it. I'll see what she's up to." His face contorted in distaste, dating Andy for months. Ugh. She's such a hick. Embarrassing to be near her. Although I knew he was no good, hearing those words still made my heart feel like it dropped into an ice pit. When Harry was chasing after me, he seemed so genuine and passionate, like a ray of light shining into my dull life. I didn't have parents. My grandma raised me by collecting and selling recyclables. I was always looked down upon and treated coldly. Then this boy, dressed in white, reached out his hand and said he'd help me get out of the mud and show me a bigger world. His bright and honest smile was infectious, and I felt like I was seeing the life I had always yearned for. So I believed him and let myself get caught up in it. But in the end, I got nothing but his unwavering betrayal. He said, "I was just playing with you. Don't even look at what kind of person you are. You can't even afford a decent pair of shoes, and you still have the nerve to cling to me?" Eventually, the gentle boy was nowhere to be seen. He was replaced by someone bitter, greedy, and superficial. I was confused about which side of him was real. Now, I've figured it out. That pure, clean boy was just a facade. Sure enough, it didn't take long before Harry came to find me. Looking at him pretending like nothing happened, he was still the same phony. "What's up? Did you and Katie have a fight? If she did well, you should be happy for her, not jealous that she came in first. Remember when you got bullied? She helped you out and warned those guys to leave you alone." His words seemed reasonable, like he was looking out for me, but inside, I just felt the irony. No wonder he always subtly praised Katie in front of me. Turns out, from the start, he approached me with a motive. To get close with Katie, control me completely, so she could read my mind and steal my college entrance exam answers. Who says I was jealous of her? I questioned. Harry was taken aback but relieved. "Then why have you been distant from her lately?" "I entered a physics competition. If I win, I get bonus points on the college entrance exam. With those extra points, I'll still be #1, so why would I be jealous?" Harry was shocked, his face showing a bit of dissatisfaction. He didn't know about the competition. I knew he feared my growing distance meant losing control over me, and Katie wouldn't be able to read my mind anymore. "Why didn't you tell Katie? You usually tell her everything," he probed. I sized him up with a scrutinizing look. "Why are you so concerned about Katie, unless..." His expression changed, and he quickly turned stern. "I'm just concerned about you. It's disappointing you'd think that about me. Katie's so plain looking and doesn't study well. There's no way I'd be interested in her. I only paid attention to her because she's your friend. Otherwise, I wouldn't give her a glance." I forced a smile to comfort him, but inwardly, I couldn't help but scoff. Those with a guilty conscience always get angry when exposed. A few days later, Katie was suddenly placed into the competition class. She acted surprised to see me there, like she wasn't expecting it. Katie was infamous for bad grades, always ranking low, and she usually scored 0 in physics. Her joining the competition class stirred dissatisfaction among students, who felt she lowered the class's standard. Everyone was waiting for me, the class president, to speak up. "Andy, I just want to give it a try. I'm not here to take your spot," she reassured nervously. But I clearly heard her tell Harry she planned to take my spot in the competition and make those who look down on her regret it. "Oh, she wants to impress people? I'll let her try. No worries, it's fair competition. It's not about stealing spots," I said, smiling at Katie and speaking to the other students. "Katie got first place before, which means she has the ability. We should give her a chance to prove herself." With my support, Katie was content to stay in the competition class. While others were studying intently, she'd watch shows on her phone, laughing and crying out loud in the classroom. Meanwhile, others diligently worked on practice problems. She'd do her makeup, with her perfume making others cough. When students expressed discontent, Katie didn't care. Instead, she arrogantly boasted, "Unlike you, who only know how to study hard. I don't even need to practice to beat you all, believe it or not." The competition was quickly approaching, and there was only one spot for the entire school. Everyone assumed it would be mine. Before the competition, Katie walked up to me specifically. "Andy, this competition will be fair. If I take your spot, don't blame me. I still want to be friends." "Sure, friends. So she could steal my college entrance exam scores, right?" I smiled politely. "Yeah, fairness is key. We have to be responsible for our futures. Nobody has our back like we do." But Katie didn't get the hint. She confidently walked into the exam hall, head held high. I intentionally broke my pen during the test, causing the ink to blot. In the end, she got 1 point higher than me. When the results came out, everyone was dumbstruck. "No way, Katie outscored Andy? She's really something." They wondered if she'd been hiding her talent all along. People's impressions of her changed, and they eagerly asked for her advice. Katie, surrounded by an adoring crowd, was thrilled. "There's no secret, really. It's just using your brain, a natural talent," she bragged, standing proudly, looking at me in second place. "Sorry, Andy. I didn't mean to embarrass you. It was just bad luck with your pen. Even without bonus competition points, you can still get into NYU, right?" I rolled my eyes silently. Who would have believed her fake act if they didn't know she had a system? Even Harry seemed in a better mood. "Harry, thanks to you and that mind-reading system you got me, it was totally worth you pretending to date Andy to connect it to her. With her exam answers during the college entrance exam and my extra competition points, I'm the sole winner. Then we can both go to NYU and be together publicly," Katie said. "Don't worry, I'll convince my dad about marrying you." Turns out, the system was Harry's doing. I should have seen it coming. In a previous life, Harry always complained about my poverty and simple clothes, but although he seemed to criticize Andy, he couldn't stop glancing at her. They'd been together all along. This whole setup was to steal my college entrance exam scores. The system was the gift he gave Katie. I couldn't help but tremble all over, my nails digging deep into my palms. Alright then, let's see how deep your feelings really are. Katie thought she was set. She was waiting for the extra credit notice while bragging in class every day, enjoying the envious looks from others. But she didn't get an extra credit notice. Instead, she got a report that there was an issue with her contest results. During a review, the competition committee found out that every answer of hers was identical to mine, except for the one question I didn't finish. She even copied the random data I had set up. It's impossible for those freely set data to be exactly the same. Since I had many outstanding simulated results before, Katie's contest results were cancelled, and she was asked to retake it with everyone watching. How dumb can she get? With my formulas, she could easily get it right with some random values. Shows she really didn't want to use her brain, just leaned on me. Katie was furious, storming into the office, and the teacher only offered her a chance to redo the exam. Harry was also sour-faced. Did you rat out Katie? Jealous that she took your spot, so you accused her and reported it? I shrugged. With our papers side by side, it's obvious if there's cheating. No need for accusations, right? As the retake date got closer, knowing I wouldn't compete again, Katie was stressed with no answers to copy and started venting on Harry, blaming him for giving bad advice, leaving her in such pickle. Gotta say, Harry's patience to please Katie was impressive. So, I accidentally showed Katie our chat logs. It just so happened to show Harry's comments about her being unattractive and unworthy of him. Katie's my good friend, don't talk about her like that. I saw Katie's face go pale. I knew she couldn't stand people calling her ugly. The next day, Harry stormed up to me in anger. Katie, why did you show others our chat logs? I trusted you so much, but you just didn't take our relationship seriously. I'm deeply disappointed. I quickly denied it, flustered. I didn't. Where had you hear that? Of course from. He trailed off. Saying it out would expose his close ties with Katie. Watching Harry's face turn red, I played innocent. He had to swallow his words back, eating the bitter blame quietly. With Katie starting to doubt him, Harry stuck around as her suitor to latch onto her higher standing. Gotta admit, Harry's got some skills. He somehow found out the system could upgrade. After that, it could not only read Andy's thoughts but also copy her mind. She'd recall knowledge points subconsciously even without direct answers, enough to solve problems. Katie was overjoyed and immediately upgraded the system. She was fond of Harry all along. This Cold War was just her throwing a tantrum. Since you're of use, I'll forgive you. On exam day, Katie confidently sat at the podium. After confirming the system was without flaws, she was mighty smug. Are you ready, Katie? She looked at the packed lecture hall with teachers and students, confidence plastered on her face. Ready, but before the exam, I have one demand. If I score well again, I demand an apology from all of you. The exam began. Everyone waited for her to surprise them once more, and she did surprise everyone. Katie ripped up the test paper and climbed onto the podium like a free monkey with exaggerated movements. Why does a sunflower cost 50 suns? My nut wall, unstoppable. Don't eat my pea shooter. My squash will smash you flat. She plopped onto the ground. Everyone was stupefied. After a moment of sheer silence, the whole lecture hall erupted. Laughter, screams, camera shutters all mixed in, almost taking the roof off. Only Katie was sobbing, tears streaming down. Even being dragged out by teachers, she was still caught up, talking about zombies and cherry bombs going boom. Teachers all had dark faces. I gleefully wrapped up a game of Plants vs. Zombies. Victory, sweet. Katie got famous for her zombie act. Her video was not just alive on campus, but went viral online. People marveled at her social dysfunction. Some nosy netizens even tagged the school's account to show off this rare talent. Katie and Harry were in fiery arguments. It's all your fault. Why didn't you tell me I wouldn't be able to stop copying her mind after upgrading? Are you helping her against me? Harry felt wrong too, unaware of this side effect, and sulked gloomily. He had to soothe Katie, being her punching bag, often showing up at school with scratches on his face and neck. Out of curiosity, I asked about his scratches, and he said they were from a cat. Lately, Katie's eyes screamed venom whenever she looked at me. Playing dumb, I consoled her, blaming stress, advising rest and relaxation, emphasizing being accountable for oneself. Katie had no choice but to swallow her pride. I thought this would be a big enough lesson to tone her down, but turns out, the system's capabilities were beyond my imagination. After the second mock exam, Katie's score finally surpassed mine, nearly perfect. The school was shocked, constantly comparing her exam papers, finding no trace of cheating. Surprised, I scrutinized her test and found something. The system could not only tap into my mind but also autonomously integrate, correct, and regenerate answers. The upgraded system was indeed potent. This time, with no mishaps, Katie held her head high, looking down on those who once accused her of cheating, her nose up in the air. See that? This is my real strength. Who accused me of cheating? Come face my accusations? Too scared? Others, though begrudging, found no evidence of her copying me and slowly believed she was a strong student pretending to be mediocre. Katie wasn't satisfied, gleefully flaunting it to me. Andy, you weren't upset about them wrongly accusing me of copying you, right? Now, I proved my innocence. She hoped to see jealousy, resentment, maybe even anger on my face. But I let her down. You keep things honest. No need to seek my approval. You might fool others, but you can't fool yourself. People who play dirty tricks always end up failing, right? I looked at Katie with sincerity. Her face fell, a forced smile, as unpleasant memories flooded back for her. My casual attitude seemed to seriously piss her off. I overheard her angrily complaining to Harry, "I'm so mad. I'll make sure Andy becomes nothing but a failure. I'll make her feel what it's like to be at the bottom of the class." Harry, can the system get upgraded again? This time, I want to completely take over her mind. Katie's intense determination gave me chills. Her heart had been corrupted by the system, leaving her emotionless. How could anyone think of stealing someone else's thoughts like that? But Harry nodded. "I'll see what I can do," he said confidently. Katie urged him to hurry up and get ready since the third mock exam was coming up soon. During this time, she spent more energy trying to monitor my studying than on her own. "Andy, why are you in the hallway? Have you finished memorizing the English vocabulary from last class? The third mock exam is almost here. Why aren't you worried?" With a smile, I wrapped my arm around hers. "Thanks for your concern, Katie, but don't worry about me. I'm sure I'll do well." She nodded, but I caught a hint of sarcasm in her expression. When the mock exam came, Katie casually walked up to me before we entered the exam room and patted my shoulder. "Good luck." I smiled back. As the exam bell rang, it felt like a floodgate opened in my mind. Everything I'd memorized just washed away. I couldn't recall a single thing. Staring blankly at the first, easiest question, I tried to grab onto any fragment of knowledge. But my mind was empty. Looks like Katie's system upgrade worked. Holding my pen, I sat lost in thought for half an hour before handing in a blank paper and leaving. After the exam, Harry rushed over to check on me, wanting to go over the answers. "What did you choose for that last math question?" Other students gathered around, hoping for answers from us, the class top students. Harry kept glancing my way, noticing my silence, and smirked. "What's up, Andy? Didn't do well?" He was sure Katie had taken over my thoughts, laughing at my expense. Imagining his future marrying into wealth and living the high life. I said nothing. Harry once talked about wanting to change his future. I thought he meant through college entrance exams. Turns out he was thinking about finding a rich partner. Results came out, and Katie was first again. I, having turned in a blank sheet, scored 0. The school buzzed with shock. Classmates exclaimed how Katie had pretended to be struggling only to surprise everyone with her brilliance at the exams. I, on the other hand, supposedly cracked under pressure and didn't even try this time. College entrance exams test not just smarts, but also your state of mind. Katie stayed calm and overperformed. Andy fell apart, said some. Background matters too. Katie's family is in business. She's seen big situations before. But Andy, from her background, would be expected to freeze up at significant times. Katie strutted proudly around school, above everything, ignoring everyone. I confided in her that my mind went blank during the exam. She comforted me, but with an air of mockery. "Andy, you need to get your mindset straight. Or else, come the college entrance exams, what if you forget all the key points?" The teachers, though pitying me, encouraged not to be afraid, insisting my slump was just stress and that I could still come out on top if I adjusted my mindset. They also started feeling tired of Katie's arrogance. However, Katie scoffed, sure she was the one with real potential, and teachers should acknowledge her. After the mock exam, she completely relaxed, either sleeping or reading novels in class, eventually skipping school altogether. No matter how teachers tried advising her, she shrugged them off, confident she'd make it into NYU, telling them to mind their own business. Eventually, the teachers gave up on her, letting things be. The college entrance exams approached quickly. Before entering the exam hall, Katie deliberately held my hand, advising me to get my mindset right. I saw the provocation in her eyes and felt torn. Her satisfaction grew seeing my distress. I sat calmly in the exam room, knowing Katie must be thrilled, waiting. This was the college entrance exam. I couldn't play games or let my mind drift, just focus on the questions. It was her chance to drain my brain again, just like during the third mock exam. With 15 minutes to go before the exam began, I repeatedly reviewed the key points in my head. Then suddenly, I felt my thoughts slipping away. On the other side, Katie began her mental theft. Seeing the neat, orderly points in her mind thrilled her, but the next second she burst into song. She tore up her paper, smashed her pen, pulled her hair, and ran around the exam hall like a mad woman, her loud singing echoing down the hall. What's happening? Isn't Andy supposed to be ready for the exam now? Why is she singing? System, stop, stop. I said stop, but Katie, tears streaming, sang on. In the end, before the exam could begin, she was escorted out for disrupting the exam hall and stripped of future exam qualifications. Katie was shattered. And Andy, did you know I had a system all along? You tricked me. She confronted me after the exam, her confidence shattered, acting erratically. You failed on purpose just to take me down with you. Still packing my bag, I replied calmly, what are you talking about? I already have early admission to NYU. I was just taking the college entrance exams to see things through. Once I realized Harry was Katie's spy, I began plotting to submit my early admission documents without his watchful eye. But Katie's dog was persistent. No matter how I evaded, he clung to me like a leech. So, I came up with the perfect opportunity during the second mock exam. Everyone was busy with exams. Nobody knew where I went or what I did. I let things unfold, letting them think my mind was seized, causing me to bomb out and hand in the paper early. No one suspected what I'd been doing during that time. When I found out Katie could raid my brain, I started practicing self-hypnosis. She'd already used up 4 chances to read minds. She only had 1 left during our college entrance exams, so I wasn't worried she'd snoop around and find out what I was up to. Katie was stunned. She lunged at me wildly. If folks nearby hadn't stopped her, she might have torn me to pieces. Her face was twisted, and her voice hoarse. You knew I could read your thoughts. You just wanted to ruin me. Andy, I thought you were my best friend, but you're just cruel. I just snorted. Do you really think it's fair to say that? When you stole my ideas and used them as yours, did you think about our friendship? When you took my thoughts and made me fail my exams, was that on your mind? Even when you knew I'd get wiped out and took my college exam results, did you consider us friends? Stop tainting the word of friendship, Katie. I sighed. I was the one who always treated you like a friend. I'm the one who's been betrayed. Katie's eyes widened, looking at me in disbelief. How do you know all this? Was it Harry who told you? I knew he couldn't be trusted. Katie stormed out of the classroom, looking furious. I heard she and Harry had a huge fight, really went at it physically. Katie's nose was broken, and Harry's face was scratched up. They ended up breaking up. The next day, word got around that Harry was ambushed in an alley and beaten up badly. Supposedly, a few ribs were broken, and it wasn't pretty. Hearing this, I didn't really feel much. I had guessed this would all happen. With the ego Katie's got, there had been no way she'd just accept being wronged without seeking tenfold revenge. I didn't care much about all that. Katie failing her college entrance exam was proof the system's plan had failed. I wouldn't get wiped out anymore. When the results came out, I held the admission notice to New York University and returned to the point that changed my fate. This time, my life wasn't stolen by Katie, nor was I dragged to my death by the system. I finally got back the life that was truly mine. After calling my grandma, I was all excited to head home. When I got to the spot where the accident happened in my past life, I saw the truck lose control in advance and was about to step aside. But suddenly, Katie appeared in front of me. My steps halted on their own. Time slowed down dramatically. Andy, I won't lose to you. She was offering 10 years of her life to the system for one more shot. As long as you're dead, your brain's mine, she screamed. I saw the speeding truck, the dread from my past death rushed back. Are you nuts? For my stuff, you gave up 10 years of your life. What of it? Katie had lost it. All of that was supposed to be mine. I watched her madness, unfazed. You still pretend when you're at death's door. People like you should stay in the gutter, never fighting us rich folks for resources. You don't deserve New York University or Harry, they're mine. Katie choked mid-rant. Whatever excitement she had fell away, replaced by fear. What's going on? System, what are you doing? But the system didn't reply. Helpless, she watched me move. No way, you should be under the system's control. Why are you independent? I warned you, Katie, greed will ruin you. You've overextended, the system's bailed on you. Her face filled with terror as the truck came closer. Her gray face showed she understood too late. But I'm the chosen one. I'm only 18. The system is basically a parasite. It feeds off your lifespan. You leaned on it too much, sacrificing the rest of your life for it. This, all you're doing. Katie broke down, sobbing, eyes glued to the coming truck, fear overtaking her mind. She frantically called for the system. I shook my head. Even now, she relied on the system. She begged for help, but I couldn't save her. It was her fate, not mine to fix. Time snapped back to the present. I managed to leap aside. With a thud, everything hushed. It felt like I was back in my last life. As a spirit, I floated back to my cramped, shabby home. Grandma was up before dawn, spending her pocket money to buy half a chicken, cooking broth, waiting for me. She didn't know I was dead. Half blind as she was, she still managed to make chicken soup, waiting eagerly for her granddaughter to come home victorious. She had worked hard her whole life, raising me and putting me through school. Finally, when success seemed within reach, her face was all smiles despite being wrinkled. The TV announced the top score in college entrance exams. The phone rang off the hook. She didn't hear it. She lovingly caressed the walls filled with awards, eyes full of proud light. Yes, I'd been working hard since I was a kid. Everyone knew me as the one bound for success. But from dawn till dusk, I never came home. Grandma sat on the couch, clutching my exam ticket left on the table. My Andy's made it. Off to the big city. I couldn't protect Andy, but now no one will look down on you. Overcome with emotion, I cried endlessly. I tried in vain to touch her, to tell her not to wait. I was gone, but my hands passed through her frail body, her old back bending even more. Someone knocked on the door outside. Grandma didn't hear, but eventually, the staff came and entered the little house. A neighbor held Grandma's hand, eyes red. An officer, full of sympathy, communicated my death. Grandma sat, stunned on the couch. Her mind struggled to make sense. She sat there silently, not eating or drinking, as I shouted in vain, until fireworks cracked outside, slicing the dark sky. Slowly, she turned like an ancient, rusty puppet, eyes empty. She went to her room, closing the door. Soon after, a small sound, a stool dropping. I awoke with a start. Just a dream. I ran to my grandma's room. She was still peacefully asleep in bed, with my acceptance letter beside her. Actually, before Katie found me, her system had already tracked me down. There's something else Harry didn't tell her. If you fail the mission, they wipe out the host. He probably thought if he told her, Katie might refuse him. So when she failed, I knew she was bound to die. The system needed a new host quickly. It came to me. With me, you can read anyone's mind, take over their brain, even swap lives with others. Can you heal my grandma? No. Then I don't need you. The system got desperate. You don't have anyone you envy or hate? I can help you take over their life. No. After failing with me, it returned to Katie, but now I knew she wouldn't live long. But all of that was no longer my concern. The system vanished with her death. Harry got beaten badly by thugs sent by Katie's dad. He's in a coma. Even if he wakes up, he'll be paralyzed for life, stuck in bed forever. The car that hit Katie was from a company her dad partnered with. He decided not to press charges. After all, she wasn't his only daughter. With the school's scholarship money, I got my grandma's eyes treated and explored the campus a bit. I found a part-time job and settled down with grandma. No matter the chaos outside, I just live my life. I always believed that I am the only master of my own life.